Now,
Oh,
fortunately,
oh, I
I don't know how
don't want
you're.
to talk about Gamescom. I
Yeah,
don't want to.
yes, fuck yeah, that
I
rules.
just,
Nice.
I just like, I streamed it, dude. It was the worst show I think I have ever seen.
I'm very happy
Like,
to hear that because
like, unironically, legitimately, I was like 10, 15 minutes in, and it was like, did they show any gameplay? And people in the chat were like, you just watched Callisto Protocol gameplay. And I'm like, I did? I can't.
let's fucking go. That's yes, because I'm like, look, I've got a giant list here of fucking pre-rendered cutscenes, and I don't know if you want to just talk about that, but I don't really want to talk about a list of cutscene of random fucking FMVs. You
Yeah,
know,
so you know what? Let's just bang out Gamescom in 10 minutes right here. Okay. Gamescom was the most pre-rendered, most nothing show I've ever seen that was also simultaneously almost back-to-back trailers of new stuff. But every single thing was target renders and pre-rendered cutscenes and nonsense. And the only game that I can remember at all having like a video game part was um, Justin Roiland's High on Life from Squanch Games. And the reason why I can
Lies of
remember
P.
that,
Go
okay,
ahead, go
I
ahead.
do remember that, yeah.
Yes.
But the reason I remember High on Life with Squanch Games is because that might be the worst showing of a game I've seen on a big stage in my life.
Mm.
Just the most violent, out of touch cringe, just violent cringe. And then the trailer like cut to its own title like they were embarrassed. It, dire,
So
dire.
I did my thing in that I caught up with the the roundup after the fact. So I just have a giant list of YouTube videos minus all the bullshit. And as I'm going down the list, I'm like, oh my god, there's not a shred of gameplay here. Like some of them, they're like there was like for example, like I think it was Friends versus Friends where they had like
Oh,
a slice for 5 seconds of gameplay, you know, and then it was all like concept and feeling trailer, which even in a game like that where the colors and the designs are fun and interesting things, you're still like, you have to show what the fucking game is going to be, guys. We're still doing this
I,
thing. I
I
think this is the most pre-rendered event
I
I've
think
seen in years. Like,
the Friends versus Friends thing really represents a really fantastic thing about how awkward the show was. So Jeff comes out and says, "Friends versus there's a game coming out and it's got a catchy tune, right? A really catchy song." And then they start playing it and it's got like acoustic guitar folk hipster girl song on
mhm,
it.
mhm,
You know, that kind of thing, like almost
mhm.
Adventure Time. But here's the thing, it's not catchy. It's a fine tune to go with your game, but it doesn't have a hook or like a particularly strong melody. So it's like not catchy. It's not even catchy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the thing that hurt me the most by far was the crowd is German, but Jeff is not used to hitting up a German crowd. And German crowds are a lot like Japanese crowds. So you're like, hey, who's happy to be here? Yes, we's happy to be here. Yes. So
Being hit is good.
so he goes,
Good.
hey, you guys love Homeworld, right? And there's like a applause break to dead silence. Like pin drop dead silence. And like it's like fuck. Ow.
Mm.
Ow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just scrolling down here, and it's like, okay, we saw like a Dune trailer. We heard about a Doom game. There was a Word song. There was Dead Island 2, you know, and then I'm just and it's like, yeah, and then like all of this was just it was just cinematic, like nothing of gameplay. Like
So
so, Lies of P put out some gameplay.
yeah, I wanna talk about um, so Sterling put out this great video many years ago about the way Ubisoft fakes gameplay footage, in which they give you long form gameplay footage made with fake people. Like, hey
Right,
man, we'll
right,
go do
right,
this
right,
quest,
right.
okay, and that
The
that
stage
crosstalk thing.
presentation.
And now we're at like a new version, so it's pretty clear that people want to see the actual literal game. And at this show, what we got was pre-rendered trailer over and over and over. But then we got what I'm gonna call it the Gotham Knight gameplay reveal, where I don't know if you've been watching these Gotham Knight videos, but there's a real stark difference between the trailers they put out and like the gameplay reveals they do. The gameplay reveals for Gotham Knight look so bad; it looks like Anthem bad.
Hmm.
It looks like unbelievable garbage. And then they do the gameplay trailer, which is 99% in-game cutscenes, and then like dev camera um, curated shots of like the takedown
That's
animations,
yes, the takedown trailer. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
right?
Takedown moments and or like cinematic kill moments or things that are
Yeah,
effectively not gameplay anyways is the
yeah.
right it's the
And
next level in between. Totally. Hmm.
and so then you get something like Dead Island where they're like, "Oh, do you want the gameplay?" And everyone's yay. And the gameplay trailer for Dead Island was like sub 3 second cuts of like throwing things at zombies. I don't think a character takes a single step forward in the whole thing. Like, oh my god, look, like it's like it's not even smoke. It's just mirror at this point.
So like it's funny because like as playing Dead Space and we have those moments where like when you get grabbed you mash A and then there's a little he pulls the thing off of him and does a kill on it animation and I'm like, oh, that's right, that's for the trailer right there, right?
Yeah.
The camera drops low and starts rotating as you're doing a big cool and it's like, yeah, that's your in-game but still a cutscene kind of moment.
But I really think we need to talk about Everywhere. The fakest game I have ever seen in my career of commentating about video games.
So I don't like the trailer was a bunch of locations, and then a couple of cars driving through those locations, and then some people standing around, and I don't know what to make of it. Like,
So, here's what it is, Wooly. It's everything. It's a game where everyone can build their own game and their own experience, and we want the community to build this. We want it to be their world. We want them to tell stories in our game. And what we have to show is these 8 pieces of concept art. I was a producer on Grand Theft Auto, and here's some gameplay, which is clearly target renders for an investor. I'm sure you've seen a lot of those, like internally back when you worked in the business. But like I think a layman could pull that from a second. Like that's not real.
nah, bro,
That's
it's
not
just
an engine.
it's gameplay footage. It's about this big, and it's on a reel that's rotating sideways off
Yeah.
camera when you see it.
And
Don't worry about
the
it.
dude is standing there, and he is doing everything in his. This was the show of don't say the quiet part loud,
Mm.
right? So this guy is doing everything he can to not mention this is obviously a cryptocurrency game
Oh,
that they are
yeah.
begging for investors.
I didn't see any of the actual talking part.
No, you didn't. No, it wasn't mentioned. I'm looking at the guy. I'm looking at the pitch. I'm looking at. I was a producer at Grand Theft Auto, and here's the concept art, and it's the start of the show. Like this game doesn't exist. It's part of the metaverse, which is why you can do everything because it's everywhere.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, oh, this is an investment pitch being brought to a show like it's a real thing.
Well, I mean that, you know, that's perfect timing because even though Evo was now 2 weeks ago, there's I don't know if you caught wind of God Fighter. Because
I did not.
as you mentioned that, so I mean, again, real quick,
Oh yeah.
trailer airs at Evo called Godfighter, and it's just like footage of a character. I'm like, okay, there's a character kind of walking slowly towards the camera, waiting for some gameplay to start, and then it never does, and then it cuts to another character walking slowly towards the camera. I'm like, okay, and then a third character doing the same thing, and they turn around and it goes Godfighter, and I was like, you got to show some gameplay, guys. This is Evo. Come on, what's going on here, right? And then, and it was out of place because it wasn't on the same day as the other, like, trailer reveals. It was on, like, main day. So I was like, okay, so what is this? And then someone goes and jumps onto the website, checks the source, and sees that it links directly to something called, I want to say it's NFT, what's the word? NFT champions on the source code for when it plays. So people are like, what the fuck is this? You do a little digging, you find Sigma Studios, and holy shit, the people that made WoolieVersus and Blitz netcode and then got really embarrassed and took that offline and said, fuck you all for making fun of us, and took their ball and went home so that when you click the play button, you can't play the game anymore with all the assets of Naruto and Spider-Man and shit, is now coming back out with a new fighter, and it's an original NFT fighting game. And immediately just like like people are like, oh shit, it's back. And what bums me out is the WAD was blown too early. We caught on too early, and everyone started laughing at it. And then over in the Discord, apparently the dude had a huge hissy fit again and freaked out, and then shut everything down and like ran away again. And it's like, God damn it, let the thing come out so that we could look at it, because if we never got our hands on WoolieVersus and saw the Blitz netcode with our own eyes, we never would have been able to report direct from the fucking the war zone to you and get the footage of it. So you can't scare them away. You have to let it come out, let us get our hands on it, then you scatter them to the winds.
We're in this really fascinating place where this happens every time. Like, we saw the video game version of it, which was the MMO and the Call of Duty shooter, but now we're seeing a broader term with the crypto shit, which is like people who wait 3-4 years to get in and then go, I'm going to get in, and it like burns down around them. And they're like, it's too late. I'm already getting in. I can't stop now that the house burned down. And they're coming out with a post crypto crash fucking racket, but like, and you're like, it's died 6 months ago.
But it's just combining it with the like gargantuan coward energy of Blitz netcode. And
I can only appreciate that, to be honest.
And the WoolieVersus 3D Mugen asset game. Like, we're just like, like shutting it down so clicking play on Steam no longer launches the game.
That's just great.
Because fuck you, great. Don't make fun of me.
Don't make fun of me as a powerful urge, okay? There's a lot of things that I don't do because I don't want people to make fun of me for.
Listen,
right?
Man.
Sure.
But you know what? Evo ran that trailer. And whatever, they got paid, I suppose. So you secure the bag. Good job, Pokimane. You do it.
Before we get too far away from don't say the loud part, this quiet part loud. There was one cool game called Moon Fighter. What's it called? Moonbreaker. I don't know if you saw this. It's probably the legitimately best game of the whole thing.
Okay, I stopped going down the lists at a certain point.
Okay, Moonbreaker is a miniatures game where you play a strategy game on tiles with miniatures, not like animated models. Like, it is a statue, and then the statue animates by moving, like somebody's picking it up and spinning it and trying to be cool. That has a highly advanced like miniature painter with finishes and tints and varnish and all this stuff to make your miniature look cool. And the whole time the guy's talking on stage, you can see his mouth forming the words Warhammer, but don't say Warhammer. What the fuck is that?
Sorry.
Anyway, don't say Warhammer. Like the whole time, he's like, "Yeah, we love mini games and tactical games. I really liked to paint my minis during the pandemic, and we thought we would make a minis game, not Warhammer." Oh fuck! Like that whole interview was hilarious.
Moonbreaker, Unknown
Don't
Worlds.
say Warhammer. And you look at it for 5 seconds, and you're like, "Oh yeah, you should not say Warhammer because they are going to come at you if you do."
Oh man, okay,
This is the most
I'm looking
legally
at it now.
distinct thing.
Okay. That's still though. That's a fun idea, and also like way to save money on animations.
I think the animations are super charming. Like there's one where a guy does like a spin attack, and it's literally just a model just spinning in place.
Yeah, the little toy spinning around. Yeah,
it's adorable.
No, that's fun.
But yeah, no, Gamescom was terrible. It was absolutely awful. I should have used that 2.5 hours that I streamed it to play with my island in FF14, but instead I covered the game industry, which is supposedly my job, and it was a mistake.
Another live game show, another complete waste of time, utterly. But hey, did people tune in? Did they show up?
Yeah.
All right, well, there you go. Hi. Hello. Welcome.
Also, I think the funniest announcement out of that is Kojima shows up to announce he's got a podcast coming to Spotify in Japanese and English. And I saw some folks going like, "Oh yeah, Kojima podcast, yay, fucking rip CSB." And I'm like, "You motherfuckers did not read that guy's blog. Okay? Kojima is long-winded and rambling, and the story doesn't go anywhere you want it to go, and he is a writer. He is not a talker."
I hope he destroys this podcast. Rip CSB, absolutely. I will be the first one on board. I can't wait. That sounds awesome. There's going to be industry segments with Keeley as well.
Oh, I'm sure.
So that's a thing I'm looking forward to. What was also the double fucking surprise announcement there is the Sakurai YouTube channel about creating games and game design, which Sakurai on creating games, which he just announced as well, unaffiliated with Nintendo, shot in the same style as his Smash From Home Direct or From Home Smash things. Super cool. I'm very excited about that. I like that idea of just taking concepts that are, either known if you're a designer or maybe not as well known or not as well thought about, small little things, and just kind of putting a spotlight on them. And you can see,
please subscribe.
Yeah, you can see that like he's the kind of person that like frets over the tiniest aspects of like juice in game design, feeling, reward, all of that stuff. So that's a fun announcement as well. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to the contrast between what he is describing as brevity in the topics. He's aiming for 5 to 6 minute long videos talking about whatever subject, versus Kojima coming in and breaking 6 hours on every episode as he goes into the lunch he had and what that might mean in game.
Like, I still remember to this day, like, the fucking the resentment of his old leather jacket in the fall.
Oh yeah, the jacket.
And how that was thousands of words, and I don't even know anything other than he missed his old jacket. Like that was the totality of it.
Like, y'all motherfuckers are acting like you're not about to get a 10-part series on gourds. The history of gourds in life. That was not a character in Death Stranding. That was an excuse for him to dump knowledge he was waiting to dump.
Can we get Kojima and Tim Rogers and Urikoshi to do a fucking podcast where they talk about conspiracy theories? Please?
At that point, you can't possibly put a time limit on it. It has to be a 24/7 live stream that just has them showing up and talking when they feel like it and walking away when they feel like it.
because that's like Kojima's like I'm thinking of using this historical conspiracy theory in my new game, and Urikoshi goes, yeah, no, that one's real, but it was aliens. And then Tim Rogers tells a 4-hour story about how he needed to rent out his car, but the guy only showed up with foreign money, and then at the end of it said, oh, by the way, my uncle was part of that CIA program and it wasn't aliens. It's Uchikoshi. I'm thinking of a different guy. I'm thinking of the guy who wrote them animes.
Kotaro Uchikoshi.
Yeah,
Okay.
my bad. And then they'll all kiss.
I love the idea of just you tune in and you catch whatever you can for as long as you possibly can, and then you die of exhaustion and then tap out. and he's still sitting there and he keeps going. And Jeff is politely just sitting he's in one frame, and Jeff is just sitting there politely not saying anything, just enjoying and taking it in.
I like you've done the Kojima watch for long enough and absorbed enough of his content and seen enough interviews and talk with people who know him. You will be excited for this podcast because it's going to have like long sequences of I don't know what he's talking about. I really don't. Why are we talking about the growing season in Uruguay as a result of the scientific advancement from Germany? We're talking Hitler's still alive? Is that what we're talking about? All right.
I'm looking forward to, and I also am not envious of his translator, and the just I hope we get to hear the live pauses and can you say that again in a different way?
I was under the assumption that what's going to happen is that they're going to put out the full Japanese podcast, and then a translator or multiple translators are going to translate the whole thing, and then recreate it at a later date as if it were themselves.
I thought he said simultaneously.
Yeah, but I thought that meant simultaneous release.
Oh, possibly. Yeah, that makes sense then. I know that's what the Sakurai channel is doing. So that's cool. Yeah, and in the meanwhile, again on Sakurai's channel, he's just like, yo, you know when like you punch a guy and then it pauses for like half a second? That pause makes the punch feel good.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. And
it does. Did you know if you put 2 frames of frame stop on a game at 60 FPS, you can make punches feel 3 times harder? Hideaki Itsuno knows that because he put it into Devil May Cry 3 because everything felt too fluid until you added 2 frames of hit stop on every sword slash.
Can't wait. Yeah, so those are like actual legitimately fun announcements that came from Gamescom, mind you. Yeah, I mean, I'm scrolling down the rest of this list, and like that's it, right? Like we're good. There's not.
Yeah, no, we're good. We're genuinely good.
Okay, all right.
Like people are sitting down, going like, "Oh man, Gamescom happened and some other stuff. This is going to be the longest podcast ever." No. No. So what you do with your week, man? What's up in the WoolieVersus land?
Well, I was just gonna say, Lies of P still looks like Bloodborne at home, but but you know, again, like at least it was a game that we got to see, and combat seems like it could be interesting. So, that is now, so that's a kind of like looks like a Souls-like on the horizon, perhaps not necessarily if it doesn't have a corpse run, but in combat and aesthetic and feel. There was another one that I saw just dropped, and I forget what it was called, but it had like a main character with like a large beak, with like it looked like a plague mask, and they had like a scythe, I think.
Thymesia?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that came out this week.
Yeah. Took a look. I didn't play it, but I saw the trailer for that, and I was like, oh, okay, that looks interesting. But I'm also concerned, because after Mortal Shell, I'm like, Mortal Shell wasn't bad, but it's not a waste of time in some ways. So I just want to make sure before I like sit down and commit too much to anything like that it's not a complete like burn. Did you touch it at all?
I have
Or?
not.
Okay.
I've not. Probably gonna fuck with it next week.
Okay. Yeah. It sucks because I just like I wish I could like Mortal Shell, as short as it was, like if you could salvage the best bits of it by slicing it in half. you know, it's a super short game, and like you could make it better by making it even shorter. So anyway,